Alright, welcome back to another Mask of Momentum video, and today we're going to go over our last quarterfinal game of the World Championship here. We've got a really exciting one here. We got a 5 versus a Iyslander, one of them classic matchups coming out of Outsiders, which I am very excited to go over. One of my actually favorite matchups, and I've played on both sides through different formats, which is really intriguing. Let's go over some of the deck choices from this match here. So we got Alex here on 5. We going over like pretty much the normal stuff here. He's also playing a double Kodachi Emberblade list that was popularized more going into this World Championship for, you know, a different couple things if you want to play against the Kodachis for aggro or primarily for the Dromai matchup. Although I was more of a fan of playing Emberblade into Dromai, but I know Kodachi was the overwhelming favorite leading up into the tournament as well, as you can see here. Has the double mask momentum, double mask setup, and then Tunic Flame Scale. Has both snapshotting, the normal indicators of everything: the 2 chests, the two legs, the 2 hats, the 3 equipment, and you know, only the 1 Chuko. You know, because nothing's better than Chuko. So let's actually get into it. He's going for the full 3 Ancestral Empowerment line. I think that was something that testing Fi originally in a lot of the other formats. Ancestral Empowerment did not feel as impactful as it kind of does now. I feel like Ancestral Empowerment is really good, especially because without the belittle line, you are having to do more blues in your Fi list, or just be okay with like sometimes missing on a 4-card hand. But Ancestral Empowerment allows you to kind of fix your hand a little bit and dig through your deck faster to get some a little bit more. Plus, it's just like +1 over the top, so those cards are pretty good. Also, the 3 block value does matter. We got the Bending Thorns, which is the new inclusion going to this tournament. Got the Blaze Headlungs, and he's going with the full 9 brand with Cinder Claws. That's something that the other list was lacking when you're playing that Kodachi, is that 9 brands are super impactful, just trying to get that Draconic Chain linked up, so you can always get that Phoenix Flame from the graveyard. Only 2 Command and Conquers in this list. Has the double strikes, has the E-strikes, some pretty much normal inclusions. Has 1 Erase Face, 2 CNCs for a lot of the 6 power stuff. Has Reinforce the line. Only playing 1 Phoenix Flame in this list as well, which is pretty good. Playing the full 3 Salts as well. I know a lot of people play 2, but going back to the full 3, obviously has the Art of War, and he's playing Stab Wound in his list as well as the 3 Warmongers. Stab Wound is pretty interesting. They hits a hero, they lose X, where X is the number of time daggers hit this combat chain. Is pretty good when you're trying to think about. There's another additional 3 block 0 cost that also goes well with Kodachis. Alright, so that's going to be that Fi list, just a pretty much standard Fi list that what we have seen for the majority of Fi being Inception. And we're going to look at Yuki's Ice Hitter list. Obviously one of my favorite decks of all time. You know, Iyslander as a wizard. Pretty standard equipment here. You know, has an Orin Hood for the mirror matchup as well. Has Iron Rot Gauntlet instead of the Iron Hide that we saw the last one. Iron Rot is the more. It was very surprising seeing the Iron Hide instead of the Iron Rot. Iron Rot is usually the go-to in a lot of matchups with Node, just needing to get that extra ump. But going back to the Gauntlet here, has the Peak, Tunic, and Cancelo's Winning Moon package, and obviously Storm Shatters, which is arguably one of the best equipment in the game. So let's look at it. She has 2 red Arctic Tails. I know a lot of going into it, people were trying to play a little bit more of an Arcane build. A lot of a red Aether Hail hype was going into this tournament to, against Dromai specifically, and that is the only other red arcane damage besides these Aether Ice Fan. Is deciding to go with 8 here with the 2 yellows here. I've always gone back and forth if like you need the if you should play 9, you should play 6, depending on what it is. You should play blue at all. I think the blues are really good, especially in this tournament because of Dromai's prominence. But also has Cadavis Contraband, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, when it hits, you may put it back. So if you're attacking one of those big dragons, or just going face, putting back one of those spells is pretty nice. Pretty interesting inclusion here. Through all this, you know, the normal ones, the CNC, E-Strikes, Vandals, Scar, Bowl, Sinks, playing full 3 Blizzards. regular blue suite is deciding to go on 2 Frost Tech series, so being a little bit weaker to like those control decks, but you probably didn't expect them going in into this full fatigue decks into these tournaments. Only playing the 2 Ice Eternal. If you're cutting on this, you're probably cutting on this as well. Has the heart. I know some people were cutting heart and not. Does have Warmonk's Diplomacy. I think sometimes you see Iyslander lists that were either playing it or not playing it, but they are deciding to she's deciding to play 2 of them. And then we have the Winter's Bite in there as well. Winter's Bite really impressed me going into this weekend for the World Championship. Winter's Bite Blue, really good. Iyslander struggles playing 4-card hands, and sometimes your opponent gives you 4-card hands, and you need to be able to punish them, and Winter's Bite is really good. And then my favorite blue all time at the end was Winter's Grasp, but she's playing the full 3 copies of. Glad to see that here. Just an all-star in a lot of matchups. Alright, let's get into the gameplay here. Yuki is playing first here to get that first Tunic resolve, and then little key matchups of this Fi versus Iyslander specifically is that Iyslander really needs Fi not to be able to play the game like significantly, right? Iyslander wants to keep very specific cards. Iyslander really wants to do specific things every single turn. And Fi, you know, you can't really block out Fi because Fi just has it goes so wide, goes so far, and so it is naturally something that is good for Iyslander. But Fi wants to make the game a quick couple turns, right? He does not want to go super long unless he can go long, but he doesn't want to go that long. Iyslander wants to make the game go extremely long if you can get it to get that arcane value out there. Something very unique that we used to always think about in this matchup is that Fi should not, as the Iyslander, you should not block Fi's first attack and then block things at the end. But if you have a blocking hand, sometimes you can just block the first one and just decide to block like 3 or 4 cards, but it just really depends on how your hand goes. Also, it is a pretty big dance if you have a nice card in your arsenal. If you want to play at the very beginning of the chain to let Fi know, or if you want to try to blow Fi out, like thinking that you have like a red card or something that does not matter from the end of the chain. You want to be able to trade damage very efficiently as Iyslander, really taking, you know, a good probably 6 damage and then coming in with a Woundable and arsenaling again, and just trying to really trade like that throughout the majority of the game, and then hopefully kill them around, you know, that 11 or so breakpoint, because Fi is only playing AB1, so you can kill him from a high life total, but you aren't playing Node, so you got to be careful about that as well. Fi playing that Tunic, which is standard in this matchup, because, you know, not really going to get that much value out of the... You're going to get more value out of the Tunic than you are going to get out of the Flame Skill, and, you know, Mask of the Constant Links, just that average headpiece, unless you're playing against Dromai specifically. And then we have that Tide Flippers, super good in this matchup, for this matchup especially. So let's see what Yuki does here. Starting off with a Sink Below here, trying to filter that hand. A lot of times the Iyslander hands either can do nothing or are just like extremely awkward, so you want to be able to filter it out a lot of the time, because you are going to be taking damage on most turns versus Fi, so you just want to see what you can do in your opening hand. Alright, let's see. I know Alex here has a... has a blue. This is, you know, full 3 to make into this Emperor Blade. Looks like Yuki has a Wounded Bowl in hand. Let's see if it's Wounding Bowl with the channel. I'd be very, and this is a blue, I'd be very surprised to see a block coming out here. She even said Waning Moon. So Waning Moon checks if they're going to significantly want to do anything after. If you pitch here, you're probably going to arsenal that last card as Fi. If you take 3, then probably going to have to take either block this 3 from Emberblade or take this 3 from Emberblade, and you're going to see another like damage going through. A lot of times Fi will just play 4-card hands into Iyslander pretty much every single turn and not arsenal unless forced to by the Iyslander player. Okay, so it is going to be a yellow. So if you have, obviously has the Woundable in hand, has a blue to cast the Woundable, cannot do anything with that yellow. Was probably trying to sink below another like yellow or something out to get through it. It's actually going to block with the Woundable as well because has that blue channel. Definitely not really blocking. Blocking with that channel is definitely going to take the 2 here. And it looks like Alex is just going to have the Ancestral in his arsenal here. Does get the Shuko value because when you're playing, especially in the 9 brands, a lot of the time you do just get the Shuko value because you're playing all these a more amount of the smaller attacks going through. Yuki putting that channel in the arsenal. Channel is going to be, if you get channel to 2 counters versus Fi and versus a lot of these other decks, it's like by far the best thing that Iyslander can do, because realistically you're getting like almost 3 to 4 turns with channel, because you're playing into your opponent's turn. If you put the counter on your turn, then it's impacting the second turn from your opponent. If you get the second counter on your turn, then it can be the third turn on your opponent's turn, which is just incredibly good here, right? So now we have channel. Channel you want to play when you have Tunic on 3, so you can channel. You can play the 2 costs from Arsenal and Waning Moon. It's why a lot of people have moved away from Iron Hide, Gauntlet, because it is hard to. You're very resource dependent, right? So. I think Yuki is going to respond to this Ancestral Empowerment here. With the channel, so channel plus the Frostbite here. And Yuki has 2 cards in hand, so 100% one of them has to be used as either just an Ice Pitch for the Coronet Peak, right? Either you're gonna Ice Pitch for the Coronet Peak, or you're gonna keep both cards in your hand to send out an attack, not have an arsenal on your opponent's turn, and just have because the channel needs to stay, right? You're only going to play this channel if it stays. So now allows him to draw the card. Off the Ancestral, taking 1 here from this because the Ancestral Empowerment is going to get +1. Okay, it does use that banish ability. This was something that was a little bit interesting when you respond to channel on this, especially because that's always going to hit. They have a 0. They can play it for, they can banish it. It costs -1 technically, and then the Frostbite goes back to 0. So then the channel makes it 1. So you lose a whole resource point, like a whole resource point of value of taxation. Because imagine here, right? If you don't respond, you respond. If you don't respond to channel on, you respond to channel after the attack. So then before attack reactions, then the Ancestral, costs 1 more, and then other stuff like that, right? So it's missed a little bit of value, but it's perfectly fine. A lot of the time, you're not really too expecting Ancestral Empowerment a lot of the time, but this is where you can get really punished here, right? Because you have to take all this damage because you have channel and you have 2 cards in your hand, especially if you're just deciding to keep an attack, right? Like blocking 2 on this attack isn't gonna matter, right? So this is the hand that Fi wants to see the majority of the time. You know, we got 3 plus the ancestral, and then we got another 3, and then the lava burst for 5. You know, can't feed in the Phoenix Flame, but you need to be able to pressure your Iyslander opponent every single turn. Like, if you're up like 15 life, like he is right now, before this attack probably comes in, because Yuki is keeping 2 cards. Expect this to be an attack. If it's just a Coronet Peak, it is just a Coronet Peak. Okay, so it's a little bit weaker. If it is just an attack, right, for example, you can bridge the gap between your life totals, right? Because you're down 15. If you 7, or 8, then you're only going to be cut in half, basically, because Fi's not going to block. Fi does not care about blocking unless your hand is like absolutely atrocious. And now I say that I'm looking at Alex's hand, it is pretty atrocious. It looks like Argyriou, Salt, Lava Burst, and an E-Strike. Looking at this Coronet Peak, you're probably just bottoming. Oh man, what are you even doing in that hand? You probably want to keep the Argyriou, so you're probably pitching Salt, if I had to guess. You want to keep Art, but your hand also does nothing. So I think the only thing is, like, if you want to, if you really want to play the game, the only thing you can do the following turn is to E-Strike for like 7 or draw a card. And if you do that specific thing, you have to use 3 cards, which you can't then arsenal the Argyriou. Another thing you can do is just pass, which is not like, the best, but I can play it super. Yeah, so he's gonna get rid of the Lava Burst as well. I think the Salt and Lava Burst are basically the same card. Salt is a little bit this is one of the matches where Salt is actually really good in, because Iyslander will sometimes not block very specific things. I can see that the peak of that cracked bauble in the end, knowing that's a Heart of Fiendel in her hand. I love those Judge proxies that you get in events. I had a Judge proxy, a lot of Eye of Phidias in my day. So looks like, okay, it looks like it's draw a card on the E-Strike. Probably the best option, because 7 really doesn't do much, because you don't want to play, a 2-2 game versus Iyslander. Drawing that extra card is pretty impactful, because you get the free arsenal. That's the thing, you wanted to arsenal the Argyriou, which is pretty unfortunate that you have to bottom it here, but you do get to, and it's perfectly fine showing the Lava Burst and the Salt being on the bottom of the deck, because you can always filter it out with like the Mask of the Pouncing Links, but you don't want to show that you don't have a lot of Argyriou, right? Because Argyriou is going to be your power card throughout. So let's see. We got through here, E-Strike for 5, draw a card. You want to probably block with 1 or 2 cards in your hand, but we know that we see a Heart, which is going to gain Yuki a life, and you see a Blizzard in hand, so 2 non-blocks in the hand. I don't know what was arsenal. There's not a big attack, right? So one of the good things here, because you have the channel on 1, the only way to get channel on 2 is if you had like an Aether Icane. So only blocking only blocking 3 here, taking 2. So does has the potential to with 3 cards be able to Ice Vein and then keep the channel for the extra turn. Let's see what that arsenal card was, because I know we have. So this was an E-Strike. Okay. Looks like an E-Strike go again. Probably don't pitch the Heart for Coronet Peak as well. Alright, we decided to go with so we took all that damage, right, as the Iyslander player, to you know, keep the A-Strike and keep the card to keep channel around. And we did Coordinate Peak and then keep this Elysian Strike. So this Elysian Strike value, instead of blocking 3, it's going to come in for 5 with this Go again, which, you know, 5 is surely not blocking. Basically at this point, you know that you're not getting attacked. They're not keeping the channel again, right? All they're going to do is Coordinate Peak after this, or send like you know, Scar for Scar and then Coordinate Peak or something like that, right? To try to bridge the gap through 9, and then, you know, keep that extra card for your hand. Which you can't Tunic away this Coordinate Peak because obviously the channel, and so you always takes a card from your opponent's hand, which is pretty impactful. Now we're looking at the 5 player in a commanding position right now, right? You're up 17. You're just, here's 5. You can go. You take this 5. You can be up 12, and then you get to play 3-card hand plus that arsenal. So basically, being able to play a 4-card hand the following turn. You don't have a channel looking at you anymore. And you'll probably just have to deal with like maybe an arsenal card, maybe not an arsenal card, depending on, you know, what the rest of the Iyslander card like hands. This is a very good start for 5, right? 5, you just want to, if you can run over Iyslander, it's going to be the easiest part of the, like, it's going to be the easiest. It's the easiest time, right? A lot of times this matchup either is one of the two run over the opponent, like either 5 runs over Iyslander. Iyslander, you know, locks 5 out of the game every turn. He doesn't get to play the game, and then, or it's really interesting, like back and forth, like damage race. So it looks like Alex tried to Tunic, but the channel is out. So let's see what the ruling is. I don't know. Let's go through this. Can I skip? How do I skip? Or did I miss it? Here, I skipped a little bit further. Okay, so he is just going to pitch a card and not have to use his Tunic value. Alright, let's look at the next one here. Alright, Alex on his turn has the 3 cards in hand and the card in his arsenal. What can he do here? Obviously, Yuki has that Blizzard in her arsenal, which is going to be very good. If Alex doesn't have a blue, okay, he does have a blue. It has Bittering Thorns though, so. And being the new 1/4 that if it hits your next attack is +1. We've had Bittering Thorns for a long time, but it was only the yellow version, which was a 1/3, and now we got the 1/4 in that like UPF deck, I believe, which is pretty nice. Decent power creep to allow the 1/4. I always wondered why Bittering Thorns wasn't just like naturally, like Bittering Thorns Red wasn't just like in crew at the very beginning, but I mean, it would be a very powerful card that Ninja would have for like the entirety. Doesn't have a combo line, but it is very good in 5, right? Especially in this version that, because Belittle is banned, you're kind of lacking on really good one costs that is good no matter what. And Bittering Thorns is the new 1 cost that is very good. So let's look here. Looks like you're going to be blocking for 4 using that Gauntlet. Gauntlet basically blocks for 2 here, which is, you know, very good value. Very good here. Usually want to keep Gauntlet for like a cheeky Phoenix Flame block for 1 value, or this exact situation to where you can block for 4. Just get that extra umph here, because you don't need Metacarpus nodes in this matchup, because, you know, Fight really isn't going to be blocking any of your. It isn't really be blocking with AB like close to enough of times, right? Like, you only have AB 1. It's just there in case you're getting locked out of the game and you can pitch for it, or it's kind of free for you to pitch for it because you can't play anything else that turn, and then Arcane's coming through. Looks like we're really thinking about these blocks here. It hasn't finalized the blocks, but does show there is at least a 3-block in hand. Alright, decides to... Okay, does decide to block for 4 here. Alright, and then has a Blaze Headlong from Arsenal. That was the card that the E-Strike draw card put into the Arsenal. Very strong. Has that Blaze Headlong. Uniquely, that allows us to have the Draconic Chain Link, because Bittering Thorns isn't the Draconic Chain Link. Blaze Headlong coming in, this will allow us to have that Ember Blade right after. So, let's see. 0 for 4, go again. Blaze Headlong, very good. Has been 0 for 4s with go again, and additional effects have obviously been very good for the entire history of Fab. And this one, uniquely, also is Draconic, allowing that Ember Blade to come in. Iyslander having to take this 4 here, because you blocked the first one here because it had the on hit. You got to non-block the second one. The Blizzard is still in the arsenal here. Did not decide to use it. This actually wouldn't have been a bad turn to use the Blizzard at all, because you see the blue pitch, right? And you come in with the 1 cost. If you know the last card in hand is another blue pitch, obviously it's not that good, but you can pretty much almost stop the entirety of the hand. But now, like, look, like the Blaze Headlong additionally came in. The last card was Run Renegade. The Ember Blade got to come in. You can just Phi ability and try to get the Phoenix Flame back. You can always float the Tunic resources in response. Blizzard would stop, like, Blizzard basically is stopping the Ember Blade from coming in, right? Because Ember Blade and the Phoenix Flame, because when you get 2 floating, he gets to, you know, cast Blizzard in response to the Frostbite. And the thing, you Tunic, use the 2, that 1 last resource is going to come in for, that Blaze Headlong, and then you're just going to Renegade. Oh, instead he gets blown out by this Blizzard. So your opponent, like, it's not a bad place to mask the Pouncing Lynx, right? Because your opponent, like, if they had a Frostbite in a lot of the situations, it would have been very good to Frostbite. But yeah, so Phoenix Flame hits. He pops the mask of the Lynx. In response to the Lynx, like, you say that you're popping the Lynx to get the card, and then you can Blizzard in that instant step. Whatever step you can respond in to play an instant for Blizzard. So you cannot play that Lava Burst here. That is pretty bad. I mean, it's a bold move to, pop it. Basically, if they don't have the ice, if it's just a Frostbite card in an arsenal, right, Tunic gets around it. If it's Blizzard specifically, is the only way you get blown out there. But you were in a significantly, like, very, very good position, right? And now you're still in a very good position, right? You're up a lot, but that, is a way that you can come back into the game, right? There's no just like 5-6 damage on the board anymore. But there, if you don't pop it, they have a 2-card hand plus the arsenal, right? Then Wounded Bull comes in no matter what, and then just has the Blizzard for the following turn as well. So it depends. It depends. I think popping it is fine, because if it does hit for 5, you're just such in a great position, right? Like, it's almost unlosable position at that point, right? Like, your opponent's at 8, it's coming in with a Wounded Bull with no arsenal, right? And then you go to 24, and then you have a 4-card hand. Because unless your hand's unplayable, you shouldn't block this Wounded Bull at all, because you just get to 24. You're not in range of a Storm Strider just like like Waiting Moon at all. Iyslander hasn't really traded damage like nearly enough in this game. If it was like 13-13 and then the Iyslander didn't have an arsenal, this game would be really pretty, like would be very close. But looking at 24-13, it's like almost 3 turns from being able to have a chance of like coming of winning this game, right? So Brand come again, 3 go again. You have a little life to play with here at 13. You do need to make a decent amount of like judgment calls at this end of the game here to be able to win, because you know Iyslander only attacks with 2 cards, right? Like you know, come in with like a 7, you're gonna come in with a Wounded Bowl, you're gonna come in, you get a Scar for Scar on a 1-card hand for 4, but it's like block 9, you know, come in for 4, you get 13 points of value, right? Like Fi is gonna match that or be better than that, like pretty much the entire time. So floating that Tunic resource, so has that 1 cost. Ooh, Art of War. I wonder, I mean, so the 3 hasn't been done yet, right? Because you would do this in attack reactions. So it would be pumping it up to 4. This Art of War is extremely good here, pretty much almost closing the door to this game. And you get to banish the E-Strike, right? Banishing the E-Strike is incredibly good here, right? Oh, they're making them put the equipment in the graveyard. Sometimes I know you're supposed to, but a lot of people just like kind of flip it and leave it in the. I'll leave it there, but obviously a world championship, gotta play by the official rules here, so putting it in the graveyard. Did have that cool fab slab, you know, had the grid on the back. All right, so Art of War Banish Draw 2 is coming now in with a Withering Thorns, pitching the Salt actually. So see what the last card in this Fi's hand is, because if you had a blue, you would always try to keep the Salt, but now we're blocking 5 on here on this Withering Thorns. Not get the flash of that last card. But let's see. It's another Art of War. You just arsenal it. We've only seen 2. We bottomed 1, and then we're playing the second one. You know, Fi ability. Yeah, Fi ability, because this is Draconic, right? So only is going to cost 1. So this Phoenix Flame is going to come in for 2 damage because of the Art of War as well. So 2 off this Phoenix Flame. Always going to take the 2. There's no reason not to take the 2 here. And then Blaze for 5. Okay. This is really, yeah, so Blaze for 5. If you take this, you go to 2, but you don't have any life to play with anymore. You're in it's a terrible position here for the Iyslander player, right? Like, the game was... This is like one of those games where like Fi kind of just runs over Iyslander, and like you have like 1 piece of disruption, like you had 2 pieces of disruption, right? Your Blizzard and that channel, right? But it didn't really line up quite well. You need disruption plus attacking with like Wounded Bowl, and not like if your interaction with channel is Cornet Peak, it feels really bad. Like instead of like an attack, like when you come into Wounded Bowl and they double block it, like, and they take 2 or like they take 3, depending if you have 2 blocks or not, and like your channel's alive. Like, even though they just play like a 2-card hand, and they have to like you know they blue pitch come in with a 1 cost, or you know, just come in with like, or a generic like 0/3, or just like Arsenal Pass and stuff like that. That's when you can get that's what, as Iyslander, you can get that cheeky like Waning Moon damage in, and then come in with like another attack. Then you get to chain doing that all the time. Also, we haven't played an Ice Fiend this turn, this entire game, right? Which is going to be how you get a significant amount of damage through. But this one's quite hard, right? Like, I think you can give up the Cornet Peak here. You need to be able to arsenal one of these cards for a Frostbite in the following turn, or if you're playing if you come in with Woundable or for Fiendals, right? Like, you have to have a 2 card. So, did block with the CNC, and did to get out of the 2 block here. 1 card. Okay, so it is just a Scar. Scar for 4. Uniquely, does have Gogan. But probably will not matter in this game. It'll just same thing. Unless your hand's atrocious this fight, you're just kind of non-blocking. And even if it is atrocious, you'd probably still non-block and keep a 4-card hand versus we only have to do like 4 points of damage here. Looks like the camera is just like auto-adjusting. It's kind of like freaking with my mind right now. This is kind of funny. But yeah, interesting points of this game. Not getting enough value from the not getting enough value from like your disruption when the Sink Below filtered, and then you didn't get an extra blue, so you couldn't keep channel around for 2 turns, and you couldn't come with the Ice Vein or come with the significant attacks for the rest of the game. You didn't really be able to trade like at one of those 3 avenues in this matchup, right? You couldn't have trade damage in this game, right? So if you can't trade damage down the middle, you're either having to lock them out entirely of the game, or you get run over, right? So it was one of those games to where you didn't have a good your disruption didn't line up with your damage, and you didn't have a lot of disruption. You only had 2 disruptions, and you couldn't chain it through. So that only leaves the last option of you kind of get run over. But he does start with just a 0 for 1 blue brand with Cinder Claw. It is pretty interesting. This blue brand is going to deal 1 damage, 100%. It's like 1 unblockable, which is actually quite crazy to think about. That like it sucks starting with like a 0 for 1 in this on this turn, right? Because your opponent's at 4. You're pretty much going to deal a significant amount of damage on this turn, but you do just get to deal 1 damage for free because that card sucks and you're not in a block. You're definitely not in a block here, right? Like as Yuki, you're not gonna give a full 3 block because the amount of like things that you have to do, like that has to go right for you this game to like win from 20 to 3 is like insane. So you just have to take the 1 and hope it just goes well, right? Like imagine he just has a quad blue in his hand and then that's how you win the game. Like that's probably what's going like your avenue to victory, right? So the brand, Ember Blade, and then we have the Phoenix Flame here for 1. I know this recording oh, and it gets the Shuko value, so it comes in for 2 actually. So if it was 1, you always like didn't block it. For this 2, you're probably blocking it. Your opponent has another 2 card in hand. We kind of get stuck in that loop of you're just having a full block all like the entire time. So it's pretty rough coming through here. But I know this recording is like a little choppy. I know they had some connection or like issues in some of the quarterfinal rounds. I think it becomes a lot better like semifinals plus, I heard. But I know there was one earlier where I was like, oh, it is pretty choppy, but it happens. Sometimes internet is always not the best, no matter where you go. I think like that is like one of the funny things I always learned about internet. Like no matter how much like you pay for good internet, like at one point you just don't have good internet, and you're just like, what is happening? So I don't know. Here we go. Phoenix Flame coming in for 2. Alex has another 2 cards in hand, so you gotta think like this comes in for 2. You're probably on average dealing 6 more damage because the amount of head drops that are in your deck. If you ever have a finisher, the game's over. Yuki would need an ice card to disrupt a lot here. Looks like has a Fiendles, so blocked for 2. You get to block for 2 and gain a life, which is like even better for blocking for 3 here. This is like the value you can get off of it. And then let's see. Oh, see a Lava Burst at the end, right? So if your Lava Burst here, it just takes both cards. But if you have another attack plus a Lava Burst, it's like extremely good, right? Okay, so it just comes in with the Lava Burst. This one only comes in for 5 because you've already used the Shugo on the Phoenix Flame value. Through, looks like blue Winter's Bite and another blue card here. Alex gets to also play a 5-card hand the following turn because it gets to arsenal this last card, which is pretty impactful. Okay, blocks with the 3 block is going to take 2 here. Go to 2. And then has the blue Winter's Bite in hand. So probably playing whatever is in this arsenal. Or actually just plays the Winter's Bite here. You know, doesn't have the Tunic on 3, so this is always going to take a card. You know, it's limiting your opponent to a 4-card hand, but unfortunately not a winning line here. Needed a channel in the arsenal, or you know, something to do, you know. So the problem is like, yes, you get to take a card from your opponent's hand. They get to play with like a 3 card in hand plus the card in arsenal, so a 4-card hand, and you get to keep this arsenal. But like you're at 2 now, right? Like you don't have, you know, you don't have much. You're just gonna poke down by this like Phoenix Flame and like Phi being able to attack like instantly on every single chain. Eventually, you're gonna have to full block with 4 cards in your hand, and then you, once you full block for the first time with 4 cards in your hand, you just die the following turn because Phi gets to chain your hands back and forth, deal chip damage all the time. Very, very good. Looking at his hand, looks like a blue Soul Bond Strike. We have the 0/3 red. Gets rid of Ronin, a 0/3 red here. So either has a 1-cost starter or another 0-cost starter, just a redundant copy. So can get rid of that. Oh, it's the blue brand. The 0/1 unblockable. Yeah, so blue brand here. Depends if like. Okay, so it looks like Blizzard. You have to use the Blizzard in this situation, right? Because you don't have it's like Blizzard 3 block. And then 2 blocks, right? You have to. You basically have to Blizzard here because you gotta hope that there's enough like blue pitches. If he's blue pitching from Arsenal, right, you just have to hope that he has like red cards in hand to where he can't like efficiently pitch, but we do know he has a blue card in his hand. Okay, so those are the blue pitches for him. That's the bad news for Iyslander specifically. You could almost get out of this if they just have like triple red in hand, right? Because they couldn't play anything else on this turn, right? So they just don't pitch this arsenal card pass. You could block with like a random card. If you have a woundable, then they go down to like 12, and then you're at 2. And then if you knew you could somehow sneak one more of those turns in, then you're looking at a pretty good position. But it does take the 1. Goes to 1. Has the rabble flip. That is going to be a red. Mounting Anger only has reds in the list. It comes in for 4. Now we have the breakpoint, right? So you have the breakpoint, or do you have to also the brand. So this is a draconic card, so there's 2 draconic chain links. Here, coming in for 4. I mean, the easiest block here is like Tunic plus like 3 block from hand. Oh, we're pitching. Or an Ice Bolt. Why pitch the 3 block here? Because you have the 2 block as well. But now you had to double block? No, I guess, okay, you can block with the attack plus the tunic and then live out 1. Yeah. Because it basically blocks for 3, then 4, go back to there. Then you keep the cycle blue. Yep, and then has, you know, additional blue to pay for the Ember Blade, coming in for 3, and then you always die. Rip to the Iyslander. But yeah, I mean, that's basically, yeah, because you can't keep the, yeah, this is the only way, because you have the only way you could have done it on that situation. Sucks. I know Yuki had obviously like 13-1 at Worlds, right? Like insane run. EXO was EXO day 1, and then 3-0'd the draft in the Killers pod to start off, and only lost 1 game in the last rounds of CC. Like actually incredible run. Kind of sucks that like going first place and then losing quarters against the 8th place, but all good. Congrats to Alex for making it into top 4 here. Alright, this is going to be the end of this video. I'll see you guys for the semifinals matchups. I'll see you guys in the next one.